I believe you must be Marcus. Yes, I'm Marcus, officer. I hope no problem.
We got a report about a rape case from a woman yesterday.
Why are you doing this, officer?
Okay, Mr. Marcus, what's your occupation?
I'm a car mechanic. I own a workshop down the street.
Okay, did you visit any bar last night and what time did you leave home?
Yes, officer, and I left exactly 12 a.m.
I think you're the exact person described in the scene, and I think this must be a mistaken identity. You need to come with us to the station for more investigation.
I need to call my lawyer, officer.
Turn around, hands behind your back. This is not.
Marcus Williams was just an ordinary man. At 32, he had lived a quiet life in Los Angeles, working as a mechanic at a local shop. His days were filled with grease, tools, and the comforting hum of engines coming to life. He had a small circle of friends, a loving family, and a steady routine that he was content with. Despite the challenges he faced as a black man in America, he'd never encountered anything that made him feel truly unsafe in his own skin. But that all changed one fateful night in a neighborhood he had never set foot in before. It all started when Marcus received a call from an old college friend, Aaron. Aaron was someone Marcus had grown up with in Chicago before life had scattered them to different parts of the country. They hadn't seen each other in years, but Aaron was in town for a work event, and he invited Marcus out for a drink. Just like the old days, Aaron said. Marcus hesitated for a moment. He wasn't used to venturing outside his usual neighborhoods, but it had been too long since they last hung out, so he agreed. Aaron had told him they were meeting in a trendy part of town, one that Marcus had heard of, but never actually visited. It was a gentrified area with sleek bars and expensive condos. Not exactly his scene, but he figured one night wouldn't hurt. They met at a cozy bar, and the evening went off without a hitch. They laughed, reminisced about their college days, and shared stories of their careers. The night was simple, lighthearted, and far removed from any trouble. After a few rounds, Aaron excused himself to take a call, leaving Marcus at the bar, casually sipping his drink. A few hours later, the night was winding down, and Marcus was preparing to leave. He said goodbye to Aaron, who was deep in conversation with someone on the phone, and walked out into the cool Los Angeles night. He caught an Uber back to his apartment, exhausted but content. Little did he know that this routine night out would spiral into a nightmare. The next morning, Marcus was jolted awake by the sound of frantic knocking at his door. He rubbed his eyes and groggily stood up, expecting to find a neighbor or a delivery man. But when he opened the door, there were two uniformed police officers standing on his doorstep. "Mr. Williams?" one officer asked. His stomach sank. The police explained that they were there to question him about an accusation. Marcus was confused, his mind racing to make sense of the situation. The officer handed him a piece of paper detailing a rape accusation. A woman, whose name was Emily Parker, had claimed that she was attacked in the neighborhood Marcus had visited the night before. The police had a description of the suspect, and though Marcus was far from the scene, his physical appearance matched the description. The allegation was clear. Marcus had been identified as the man who assaulted her. His mind spun. This had to be a mistake. He didn't know the woman, he had never been to her street, and he certainly hadn't committed any crime. But the accusation hung heavy in the air. It felt as though the weight of the entire system was pressing down on him, suffocating him with the mere suggestion that he might be guilty. The officers informed him that he was being taken to the station for further questioning. It was all happening so fast before Marcus could even wrap his head around what was going on, he was in handcuffs. At the station, Marcus was interrogated relentlessly. He explained over and over again that he had no involvement in the crime. But the detectives seemed to have their minds made up. The evidence, though circumstantial, seemed to point directly to him. His story of being at the bar was weak in their eyes. After all, who could verify his movements at that exact time? The neighborhood's CCTV footage didn't have his image on it, and Emily Parker's account of the assailant was disturbingly close to Marcus's own description. Days turned into weeks as the legal process wore on. The pressure from the media mounted, especially with the racial undertones that were all too familiar in high-profile cases like this. Marcus had lived in LA for years, but he knew that the odds weren't in his favor. As a black man, he had seen the way the justice system could bend and twist, especially when the media or public opinion weighed heavily on a case. His friends and family were devastated. His mother, who had raised him as a single parent, couldn't fathom the idea of her son being accused of such a heinous crime. They had all known Marcus his entire life. He had no history of violence, cried, and he certainly wasn't capable of hurting anyone. Yet the accusation was out there, and it had already spread like wildfire. But Marcus wasn't about to let his life be destroyed without a fight. He spent the next few days digging into the details of the case himself. He asked Aaron to help him find any possible evidence to clear his name. They revisited the bar where Marcus had been the night of the alleged attack, and through some effort, they managed to locate a bartender who remembered seeing Marcus there. The bartender even confirmed that Marcus had left the bar at 12:45 a.m., an hour before the alleged assault had occurred. Armed with this new information, Marcus's defense attorney fought back, petitioning the court to examine surveillance footage from nearby businesses. It took a few more weeks, but eventually they found the smoking gun. Security footage from a store across the street showed Marcus leaving the bar at exactly the time he had said he did. The footage proved that Marcus was nowhere near the scene of the crime when the assault allegedly took place. However, by the time the truth was uncovered, Marcus had already been through the ringer. The damage had been done. His reputation was forever tainted. His job at the mechanic shop had been put on hold as customers and coworkers began to whisper. Even though the case was dismissed and he was declared innocent, the stain of the accusation lingered. People who had once called him a friend now avoided him, unwilling to take the risk of being associated with a man who had been accused of such a serious crime, no matter how false the accusation turned out to be. Marcus felt the weight of it all, the emotional toll, the social isolation, and the financial strain that came with fighting a legal battle. He began to see just how fragile a reputation could be, and how easily a life could be upended by false accusations. His confidence, once unwavering, was now shadowed by doubt. Would people ever truly believe that he was innocent? Would his life ever go back to normal? It took time, but Marcus slowly began to rebuild. He reached out to his old friends, his family, and the community to clear the air. Many people were willing to listen, to believe in him once again, but others couldn't shake the memory of the accusation. Marcus learned the hard way that in some circles, once an accusation sticks, the truth doesn't always have the power to erase it. Though Marcus was eventually able to return to his work and get his life back on track, the scars of that experience stayed with him. He would never forget the fear, the hopelessness, and the anger he felt during those long weeks of uncertainty. And he realized that for many, the fight for justice isn't just about proving innocence. It's about surviving the battle to clear your name and finding a way to keep going, no matter how difficult the journey. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever faced a challenge that made you question everything, or if you believe in the power of justice and truth, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We need more voices to stand up for what's right, to speak out against injustice, and to share these stories with the world. Hit the notification bell so you never miss another powerful narrative, and leave a comment below telling us what you think about Marcus's journey. Have you ever been in a situation where your reputation was unfairly put on the line? Share your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going. Together, we can bring more stories to light and continue to fight for truth. Thanks for watching.